So you are welcome once again to class. So we'll be talking about global weather and climate pattern. But last week we mentioned, I gave you some assignment last week to look at. Were you able to do
Yes,
that?
sir. Yes, this is Godwin speaking, sir. I did mine. You say some were wrong. I was waiting for you to do the
I said you
correction.
should snap it. Did you snap it?
I did. I snapped it. You commented on this, sir. You said good, and some of my answers were wrong, sir. And
Okay.
I think I said you should help me and maybe correct those ones that were wrong because our TMA was brilliant then, but I didn't get any reply anymore, sir.
Okay.
Yes, and I think somebody submitted today again, and you first come and say good.
Okay.
So, yes, sir. I'll be glad if.
So today we'll be talking about
global weather and
global weather and climatic patterns. So give me 2 minutes, then we'll start. The other guy is not responding. I don't know why.
I'm here. Yes. Later.
Give me a minute. So can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
So intended learning outcomes. Because I'm trying to sort some things here. So I said at the end of this unit, students should be able to describe the 5 distinct components that make up the Earth. Describe 2 mechanisms by which wind is produced. Discuss the effect of weathering on the environment. And also discuss the impact of human activity on the environment. How many of you are taking, were you with us when we started this course?
This is Godwin speaking, yes.
Yes, I know. I said, we talked about pollution.
Yes, I think that should be our first lecture.
Yes. So,
intro and
I think what we now do is that let's go through the material together. I said the planet Earth is a system with 5 distinct components. The atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the cryosphere, the lithosphere, and the biosphere. The atmosphere is described as a gaseous envelope which envelopes and surrounds what? The Earth. When is your exam starting? I think I need to even know that.
next month, first week.
Okay. When is your own paper starting?
I think mine should be 9th.
Okay.
9th of November.
Okay. So we now say that this gaseous envelope contains clouds, suspended particles, and gas. It protects life from the harshness of space. The atmosphere extends beyond a height of 100 kilometers. above the ground. So what about hydrosphere? From the word hydro, what do we mean by hydro? Hydrosphere.
The water bodies
Yes.
covering the.
And do you know that the water bodies are bigger than the dry land we are staying presently? Do you know that?
Yeah,
About 2/3
yeah.
of the earth is water. The dry land is just about 1/3 of. So definitely, that's why they always talk about global warming. If the ice on the sea should melt, there'll be a lot of flooding and a lot of lives will be lost. That's why people are talking about global warming, deforestation, and all. Those are the environmental impacts because of the hydrosphere. So now let's continue. So the hydrosphere is the liquid water component of the Earth system.
Question, sir.
You said what?
Question, sir.
Yeah.
Question, sir.
All right.
There is this question, particularly from where you have mentioned now, and I choose all of the above because they say when ice melts, what happens? Well, I think they put the sea level will rise. There will be flooding.
I can't get you. I can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
That when coastal ice melts,
Yes.
what happens? One, sea level will rise.
Yes.
Then there will be flooding consequently.
Yes.
And yes, and then another thing there again related to the same thing, and then they put all of the above. But when I choose all of the above in the TMA, I got it wrong.
Okay, were you showed the answer you chose and the right one?
So the answer, yes, because each answer each option you choose, I think it will come up that you score 0 or you score one out of 1.
What is the question? What was the fourth option?
The fourth option was all of the above.
It can't be. You should have chosen the one that you know. You did not. Maybe there's something that you left behind in the.
No, sir. What actually happened was, since they said there will be flooding, that's option. Sea level will rise. Both options there now are correct when ice melts, sir.
Yes.
And then I can't recall the third option, which was also part of what will happen if ice melts. The question was so practical, sir.
Yes, and besides, the question is in the TMA.
It's in the material, sir. And I decided to choose all of the above, which by my rating was the correct answer, because having seen sea level will rise, there will be flooding consequently, and I can't recall the third option, and then all of the above was the fourth option. So I decided to choose all of the above.
Since I will not be able to make any comment on that
until you see the question. Yes. When I see the question, I think I screenshot it. I will let you know, sir.
Okay, you can share it with me. So I'll be able to keep it then. Subsequently, because one thing is to set question, another thing is for the person that will input it in the computer to understand what you're talking about. So let's continue with the material.
All right, sir.
So we said yes, the hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is the liquid component of what?
The earth surface of the earth.
And you can see that it covers 75% of the surface of the earth and contains most of the planet's water. The cryosphere is the solid water component of the earth system. The component is made up of ice and includes what? Glaciers and what? The polar caps. A large proportion of the earth's fresh water is found in the cryosphere. So the next one, now say the solid components of the earth. A minute, please. I'm trying to sort some things here.
Okay.
The solid component of the earth is called the lithosphere. The lithosphere is where you are now. And they are called plates. And those plates are the various continents that we have. You understand what I mean by continent?
Yes, sir.
Good. How many continents do we have?
I think so.
How many continents do we have?
I think 7.
Okay, can you mention about 2 or 3?
We have Africa, North and South America,
Okay.
Asia, yes, and yeah, Asia. Then yeah, I think
Europe, Oceania, and the likes. Good.
yeah, the Europe, yes.
Yes. The solid component of the earth is called the lithosphere. The lithosphere include the soil and what? The rocks. You must have heard about that. We said human activities. I'm having issues with my screen. That's why I'm posting here and there. So you bear with me. So said human and land animals live upon the lithosphere. Plants make use of the nutrient fixed in the soil. Animal, plant, and decay organic matter make up the biosphere. In what follows, we'll be introduced to the weather and climate pattern, how they affect the different components of the earth. So let's go to the next slide. The energy cycle. Now, what can you say about the solar system?
Yeah, I think the solar system consists of the 8 planets and I think the gases in between them. I think so far the Pluto is said to be a dwarf and not be part of it.
I said so the solar system.
The solar system consists of the solar system.
Yes.
Solar system consists of the sun and the planets.
Sun and the planet.
The planets.
Yes, because we said we have a small
one Pluto like that.
Yes. So now the sun is the source of almost all the energy of the earth. It's a giant ball of what? Of gas. It contains about 99.9% of the entire mass of the what? Of the solar system. The energy from the sun is responsible for the Earth's atmospheric motion. Earth's surface absorbs and reflects solar energy. Solar energy is also absorbed and reflected by atmospheric gases and clouds. I would say some of the incoming energy is reflected back into space. However, a reasonable amount of that makes its way to the surface of the earth. So now, to the next point there. Said most of the solar radiation reaching the surface of the earth is used to cause water to evaporate. Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
So the resulting water vapor condenses into liquid water droplets or deposits back into ice crystals to form what we call cloud. And this cloud absorbs and reflects some incoming radiation from the sun. They also absorb radiation emitted from the surface of the earth. As a result of this process, rainfall and snowfall occur. So if you are asked to describe how a rainfall or snow occur, you should be able to explain. from the illustration that we have made now. Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
So the cycle repeats itself over and over again. This gives rise to changing weather and climatic patterns with the sun. You know, when we have this process going on and on, we have sun, we have rainfall, we call it weather. Then if it occurs over a period of time, we can now say it is about the climatic condition of a place. So of all incoming radiation, I'm hearing a noisy I'm having a noisy background there. Please, can you mute? That noise is disturbing me here. Who is that person? Is it you, Godwin?
It's Joshua. It's Joshua.
Joshua, please, you know, I can't see the number of people online right now until I minimize the screen. And I don't want to break the class. He's not there, he just put it on and he left. So let's continue. He said, of all the incoming radiation, only about 3%. Please let me mute him. That noise is disturbing me. Let me stop share. Then I think the noise has reduced a little. I'm coming. That noise is disturbing me. Hello, Mulero Joshua. Can you please mute yourself?
I can hear you, sir.
Please, can you mute yourself? We are getting a feedback from your hand. Please mute yourself.
I can hear you, only that I have the two challenge here.
And we know we can hear us, but you can mute so that we won't get a background response from you.
Okay.
So we now say that of all the incoming radiation, how many percentage is absorbed by the cloud? I want us to follow. It says only about 3% is absorbed by the cloud, 16% is absorbed by the what? By the atmosphere. 51% is absorbed by the land and the oceans. 24% is reflected by the clouds. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. This is Godwin.
Okay. We said sometimes is absorbed by the land and the ocean. 24% are reflected by the cloud and the earth's surface, and 6% is reflected by the atmosphere. Of all the energy radiated back into space, 64% comes from cloud and gases, and 6% of the energy is radiated directly into the space of the earth. They're just trying to illustrate how the radiation is absorbed and emitted within the Earth's crust. The difference between the incoming energy and the outgoing energy gives rise to stable temperature of the Earth. Thus, the atmosphere acts like a blanket. It warms the Earth and maintains what? A balance between the amount of solar radiation absorbed and the quantity of heat reflected back into the space. If not for the atmosphere, a lot of us would have probably melted. But thanks to the atmosphere, that's why the environmentalists are talking about ozone layer depletion. So that if the atmosphere that is covering us like a blanket is depleted, that will spell a lot of drone. Now, let's look at the terrestrial atmosphere. We said the atmosphere has no definite ceiling, and more than 99.99% of its mass lies below. Please, I must mute that person. That thing is disturbing me. Let me look for that option here. Okay, I've seen it. Okay, let's continue. I think it's better now. Anybody that wants to talk, the person will be able to respond. So the atmosphere has no definite ceiling, and more than 99.9% of its mass lie below and noticeable for about 100 kilometers. It is the atmosphere that makes the Earth habitable, and it provides what? Protection against the harmful radiations coming from there. That's what we just said earlier. So the atmosphere warms the Earth and stabilizes the temperature. We now say that in terms of its temperature, the atmosphere is composed of 5 layers in the order of increasing height, and these layers are the troposphere, stratosphere, the mesosphere, the thermosphere, and the what? The exosphere. The distance and all the height is given there. So you can screenshot that for your reference. So the terrestrial atmosphere contains gases, clouds, and other airborne particles called aerosol. So if you are told to give the composition of the aerosol, that is it over there. So nitrogen is the main gas in the atmosphere. It comprises of up to what? 78% of the atmosphere, followed by what? Oxygen. Other gases makes up the remaining 1%. I was saying in the troposphere, the gas temperature decreases with height at the rate of about 6.5 Kelvin per kilometer. This decrease in temperature promotes vertical atmospheric motion. So, and for this reason, the weather is likely determined by what goes on within the troposphere. Please note that what determines the weather is determined from within the what? The troposphere. Now let's go to the next slide, which is talking about pressure gradient wind. Now, listen to this. At any point on the Earth, the atmospheric pressure is caused by the weight of the column of air above that point. I will not say that on a global scale, there's a well-defined pattern showing the areas of high pressure and the areas of low pressure. There are some areas in North America or South America, sorry, that they have a low pressure. In fact, if you are a fan of football, if they take you to either Peru or Colombia, they have a low atmospheric pressure there, so breathing is always difficult. These pressure systems are closely related to the weather conditions experienced on the ground. High pressures are usually associated with fine weather. Low pressures give rise to unsettled conditions. I've said that earlier with the illustration of Colombia and Peru. The atmosphere tends to restore equilibrium. To achieve this, this air moves to the low pressure areas from the surrounding areas of the high pressure. So the one that have high pressure, the air moves to that area and vice versa to balance or to achieve equilibrium. And this movement of air from the areas of high pressure to area of low pressure creates wind. So how is wind created? We just explained that now. So these are how questions are being set. So how is wind created? It is when there's need to create an equilibrium where air moves from area of low pressures to high pressures. Low pressure cells are always associated with rising air. This air is associated with low pressure system, assist in the production of cloud and precipitation. Now, we have talked about pressure gradient wind. We want to talk about thermal gradient wind. So if you are told to describe or give two types of wind. We have the thermal gradient wind or the what? Pressure gradient wind. So the differential manner in which solar energy heats up the earth produces wind also. The resulting change in the airflow pattern gives rise to varying weather at different latitudes. The tropics receive intense heat throughout the year. This situation set up convection currents. As a result, warm air rises and low pressure belt is created around the equator. Eventually, the rising air meets part of the troposphere beyond which it can no longer rise. The air gradually cools and sinks back to the what? To the surface of the earth. That's about latitude 30 degrees north and latitude 30 degrees what? South, and flow back to the equator. The cell is called Hadley cell, and it is in form or is in honor of that scientist, that English scientist. So some of this here, this one we're just trying to describe here is the thermal gradient of the of wind, or how wind is formed. We have the thermal gradient wind and we have the pressure gradient wind. Let me quickly proceed because I have less than 7 minutes. Let me just touch briefly the remaining slide. So this is telling us about the combination of local temperature contrast and shape and size of physical barriers produce a wind range of a wide range of local wind. This is just talking about the temperature gradient wind. Let's look at weather and landform. Earth rocks may be broken down by environmental agents, which are what? Wind, water, and living organisms. So if you are told to list the environmental agents that we have, they are the what? Wind, water, and what? Living organism. And through a process called weathering. And what is weathering? Who can define weathering? Godwin, can you define weathering? Godwin, can you define weathering?
Weathering, if I recall, I think weathering is a breaking down of rocks.
Okay.
Of rocks by agents such as ice and other
such
living
as
organisms.
wind, water, and living organisms.
And living organisms.
So other physical processes may involve the changes in temperature and pressure. This weathering process may break down the rocks without altering their chemical composition. What that means is that even if the rock is broken down, it still retains its constituents. This type of weathering is known as what? Physical weathering. You know, we have different types of weathering. We're just trying to mention them here. Sometimes the chemical composition of the rock is altered when water carrying the submaterial interacts with the minerals of the rock. As a result of the change in chemical composition, the rock may crumble. This type of weathering is known as chemical weathering. The weathering process is hostile to the environment. It prepares the way for erosion as the sediment is created may then be removed by other agents such as wind, water, which is in form of what? Rain, rivers, streams, and ocean, or ice, which is in form of snows and glaciers. All these agents transport the removed sediment. Their abrasive action gradually erode the landscape. Now, human activities and the environment. I need to quickly read this for you. We have less than 5 minutes. Trees convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, which supports life. Most of these trees are found in the forest. These forests are becoming increasingly traded due to what we call tree felling and deforestation. So the trees that are being reduced have a negative impact on the environment, because if trees don't convert carbon dioxide to oxygen, it will be devastating to life. There's nothing that humans will breathe in. So this situation leads to a dramatic increase in the likelihood of disrupting the delicate balance of plants and animal habitats. I have less than 4 minutes I'm rushing. Some natural gases like ozone, water vapor, and carbon dioxide have an interesting and useful properties. They absorb infrared. In fact, what I will tell you to do now, just screenshot this screen because this Zoom app will soon go off. So what we're trying to explain is what we call human activities on the environment. So we have deforestation. The other one is the greenhouse effect. Another one is the ozone layer depletion. And all these are in your course material. And another harmful effect is this gas that is produced, which is the chlorofluorocarbons. Please try and read up all that so that by the time we meet, we will even meet in our what's called the WhatsApp group. With the WhatsApp group, we'll be able to deliberate more on all of this. I think this is a good note to actually end the class. If you have any questions, you can bring it up on the WhatsApp platform. It should be treated there. So I think
Thank you.
because of the time, we have less than a minute. The WhatsApp will soon go off. So we meet.
Thank you.
Any question, please bring it
Yes,
up to the class, to the WhatsApp group, and we can have interactions over there. So do enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir.
All right.